Hello, everybody. Today with me is Ron Graham, who is the Managing Director of Media on the Go. Hi, Ron.
Hi there, Adrian.
How are you today?
Good, good. I'm just kind of dealing with Malaysia's rainy weather, but everything's fine.
Okay, right. Well, we're here today to talk to Ron. Ron is kindly agreed to chair the AdTECH Out of Home Singapore conference, which is on March the 30th. That's a Wednesday, I think. Ron, we've been trying to get this conference to go for a year or so. Obviously, COVID and pandemic has got in the way, but it's happening now, March the 30th. Well, tell us a little bit about your background before we talk about the conference itself, because you're well known in the Asia region, and I know maybe from 40 years ago you're known in Europe. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, so I mean, personally, I was involved for 16 years with the Outdoor Media Owners company, which you will all know as JCDecaux these days.
Mhm.
Then I spent 11 years with Kinetic on the media buying side, and then the last 10 years I've been really using that knowledge of both sides of the industry, the buy and the sell side, to act as a consultant and an advisor. And that's what Media on the Go does, and we do that all over Asia Pacific. But I'm quite thankful that I have these connections with people like yourself, and we have this global connection where we can look at what's been happening in, say, America and Europe and Australian market, those markets which are kind of a little bit more mature than the Asia market, and then we can try to learn from that and try to help Asia get on this growth ladder and look at things like AdTech and what it means to us here.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for helping us put the conference together. You've been you put together a great agenda, which we won't go through in detail, but let's just talk about a couple of things. We've got JC Conti from View as the keynote speaker, and that's brought in obviously a lot of interest in the region from people like DailyDOOH. I think you've got DailyDOOH speaking as well later on the agenda, haven't you?
Yes, Decaux will be taking part in one of the sessions. But the nice thing about View is probably they're at the front, or at least one of the front runners in actually putting programmatic campaigns live and actually doing it. So a lot of people have been talking about this wonderful thing called programmatic, and this is obviously one of the core topics that we'll be covering during the event. But View is probably one of those companies that's had a lot of hands-on experience placing media bookings and managing campaigns in a programmatic way. So we're very much looking forward to JC Conti and what he can share with us when he's here.
That's good. He's a brilliant keynote speaker. He spoke at length in our Europe conference in Amsterdam in December. So I know that we're in for a good keynote. What about the media owners in the region? We obviously know DailyDOOH. Who else is involved in the Singapore and surrounding area?
That's interesting. Well, in Singapore, we have both JCDecaux and Clear Channel. So you have the two big global giants who are here. Across the rest of the Asia Pacific region, they are in a number of markets, but not so many. I think one of the interesting things is really how unique some of these local markets are. I think sometimes we fool ourselves that the market's the same. You can go to Berlin and Beijing and Brisbane, and you'll see bus shelter ads and bus ads and mass transit systems. You think out of home's very much the same, but actually the local markets, out of home does get quite parochial market by market. So some of the big players are here, but there's a lot of very large local companies, people like VGI, people like Plan B. In Singapore, we have Stellar Ace, one of the big ones here, who'll be taking part. So it's an interesting mix that we have, and there are definitely, I think the lesson here is we can't just cookie cut something from overseas and drop it here. I think we can learn something, but we have to adapt in the local market. So we'll see. I'm very much looking forward to the event.
Okay, we've got, I noticed Kingsman. Now, going back maybe 10 or 12 years ago when we actually started our blog, Kingsman were one of the first sort of early adopters in the region, I think, for digital.
Exactly. Kingsman have been around for a long time and one of the first movers into digital out of home with LED screens in Singapore. So we're looking forward to having a chat with Danny Lim. He will have some of those stories to tell, and some of the things that perhaps might have been a little bit too early, things that were tried before the timing was right, things which might be more reasonable now. So yeah, we'll find out what Danny can share with us, and he really has been around the Singapore market for a long time, and has a good level of understanding of the tech side of things. You know, he's quite a techie person.
Good. I think they're all on a panel put together by Remy, who's flying in from Australia, the Broadside thing. So we've got a couple of people flying in from Australia. We've got Rekshanda from the Indian Outdoor Advertising Association flying in from India. Surprise, surprise. She was very senior in Kinetic, I think, in India. And
yes, she had a role as CEO for a while in Kinetic India.
So she's got a great presentation, which is don't discount the specialists. Again, one of the things that a lot of programmatic and ad tech conferences tend to do is forget about the specialists, who are the people who typically place the advertising on the billboard. So that will be good. We're missing, because we insisted, or you insisted, it's your conference after all, I'll blame you, on having everything in person. We're missing Asia Ray, which is a shame. They've been doing lots of big things. They're primarily based in Hong Kong, but they've made some big announcements in Singapore recently. And obviously with the pandemic rearing its ugly head again in China and Hong Kong, they couldn't get over. Maybe we'll have them next year. Well, they'll be missed, I guess, Ron, basically.
Yes, they will. I mean, Asia Ray is, again, one of those local companies who are pretty big. When you look at the size of their China and Hong Kong businesses, they are a very sizable company and doing a lot in digital displays, digital out of home. And they've made a recent move into Singapore. They won the tender for the latest of the mass transit network system here. So they picked up something called the Thompson East Coast Line. So it would have been very nice to have them involved. This Singapore business is still much smaller than their experience in China and Hong Kong. But as you say, we can't get people from that market with the current travel restrictions. So we'll look forward to getting them along next time.
Okay, that'll be good. I know Nigel Clarkson from Hivestack, they've made some announcements with Asia Ray in the last week or so. He's speaking as well, so I'm sure he'll give a nod to Asia Ray and explain what he's doing in the region. But we won't have their CEO or their COO present, unfortunately. We've also had a lot of support from industry associations in the region. Tell us a little bit about AAMS. I don't even know what AAMS stands for.
Yeah, okay, well, AAMS was kind of amalgamated 2 to 3 years ago from the prevailing 4As, the Advertising Agencies Association, and a number of other kind of side associations that are in the same industry. So it was bringing together a lot of the people. So now when you look at their kind of board of directors and their talent pool that they have in their day-to-day activities, you have media owners, so people like Jesslyn from Stellar Ace is there on the outdoor side, but you have people also from MediaCorp and SPH. You have the ad agencies represented, of course, people like Chloe Neo from Omnicom. So she plays a big role in AAMS. So it very much is an overarching association across the advertising industry, and it has some quite interesting plans to take a role in standardizing and assisting some of this embracing of technology and some of the changes that are happening in our industry. So they will be hopefully telling us a bit more about that. I don't know so much today, but hopefully they'll fill us in when we see them.
Brilliant. Okay, I know there's 3 or 4 people from AAMS in attendance on the day, and as you say, some of their member companies are represented on panels and speaking slots or whatever. One of the things I guess just to say about the region, just to finish off, is almost all of the large global ad tech providers are going to be in Singapore. They obviously all believe that Southeast Asia is a big market for them, because the conference doesn't just cover Singapore, it covers Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, India, etc. And we have lots of representation from that. Hong Kong being the unfortunate missing one. What's your sort of take on the Southeast Asian market, just quickly, for the rest of the year and next year?
Very exciting, particularly if you talk to some of the money people, the private equity guys. They think digital out of home is a guaranteed growth market. They see programmatic being a huge flip up for the industry, and they see the kind of Asia region as being kind of less developed than some other markets. So therefore the growth gap is there to be filled. So there's a lot of excitement, but I think there's also a lot that needs to be done. I think one of the big things that we have to do here is a role of education. I think we have to learn much more about all of these things that are happening and how to adopt and take advantage. So I don't think we can assume that growth is going to happen just because people say, yes, it is. Look at the trends elsewhere. We're going to see the same in Asia. I think the potential is there, but I think we have to educate. And I see that, this event is, if anything, its role is in sharing and educating. And so that's, again, another reason why I'm really looking forward to it.
Right. And I'm assuming that this is the first event in how many years since you've had an out-of-home sort of event in the region?
Oh, that's a good question. It is a long time. Out of home has struggled a little bit. Some markets are pretty good at this. I mean, China and Philippines regularly put on their own national events, but I'm not aware of a regional event on out of home in this region, in Asia, for at least 5 years. And then that's obviously not a COVID thing. But I think there is so much change happening and so much new things to learn and so much possibilities with tech and what have you. I think the timing is absolutely right that we should be bringing the industry together as a region and addressing some of this opportunity on a regional level.
Good. Okay. Well, look, I look forward to seeing you the weekend before March the 30th. We'll be on stage together on Wednesday. So entry into Singapore is a little complicated with vaccinated travel lanes and some COVID stuff, but it's lateral flow tests before you go and lateral flow tests when you get there. We've got all the security safety protocols in place in the room. It's going to take place at the Marina Bay Sands, which has been very good at putting on events during the COVID pandemic. So I thank you for this time we've had today. I'll see you very soon. So Ron, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Adrian. It really has been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you.